spawning down here in the bottom right of Berlingrad to start things off. Give it up for our blue Terran player, Time. Which is something of the essence when you're playing against this gentleman in the top, wearing the red trunks. He is Byun. And it's really funny to think about because I was literally just casting Byun earlier this morning versus a Protoss player in a best of 7. It didn't go really well for Byun, but he must have had a little bit of a warm-up because of that, because he is looking to come back strong in this cup, I am sure. Now, he does have a very fearsome opponent, though, in our Chinese Terran here, as Time has been on a tear throughout many different tournaments, especially in the TVT matchup. Really just kind of taking the aggressive Terran to a level which is really fun to see. Now, Byun, he's being very safe with this scouting right now, just making sure that nothing is really going to be visible to his opponent, dropping down that extra supply depot so that, you know, no extra information. While Time as well, it looks like he's going to be going up to a very fast reactor behind this. So we'll have to see how many Reapers he's actually going to pump out. That's actually a pretty interesting difference here. Obviously, I'm kind of new to Berlingrad, as most of us are, but it looks like the positioning here for the barracks are just a little bit different. Just because of the way that we see the two players setting him up. But anyway, Byun gonna make his first little move out with this guy. He doesn't want to overextend and lose it early on, because that is the very fastest way that you can get a game over in the mirror matchup. And yeah, Byun is just gonna be chilling out here. Probably going to be waiting for a minute here as he's going up to a very fast tech lab. Now that is interesting. That does tell me that we might see a Cyclone and right afterwards go straight into Stim behind it. Yeah, there you go. Here comes the Cyclone. Here comes the additional tech lab. Probably going to go up to Banshees as well just to be completely focused. But Time has a pretty sizable little harassment force of his own. He's getting the reactor up. He's getting an additional tech lab, so he should be starting either a Raven or Banshees of his own. And from here, he's just going to be looking to put on a little bit of pressure. Now, Byun, that Cyclone is finished, so he should be able to shut this down relatively easily, but going to lose 2 of his Reapers very fast. Actually able to pull one away. Fantastic little trade there to start things off for Byun. So now Time kind of does have to kind of remain in his base for a little bit longer here as he kind of powers up. Luckily for him, it doesn't look like Byun is going to be going for a cloak, so this Raven will be able to... won't be as needed to deal with that, so he can use it a little bit more aggressively because of that. And behind this, this is just a little bit of a poke. This isn't really meant to kill the army, especially not with the lock-on in the backfield. But just getting a couple of pickoffs here, slowing down any sort of aggression out of your opponent is super vital, especially in TVT. As usually it's the more aggressive Terran player who does win the mirror. Right now it looks like that Time might be dropping down his third base, and there we go. It does go down. There are a lot of dogs on this map, I gotta say. But Byun, it looks like he is a little bit more content to stay on 2 bases for the meantime. And as I say that, he drops down his own base. Hashtag cast curse. Still a relatively equal game, all things considered. SCV count perfectly even right now. We do have a relatively similar army size, but time is going to be a little bit further ahead in terms of that stim. Now, bear in mind, Byun will have those additional racks up just a little bit quicker, and so this game might actually come down to literal seconds in terms of these pushes, because Byun has 2 additional army supply. And that might actually be the difference between victory and defeat here. Scan gonna go down. He sees the stim, he sees the third base, but he doesn't see the army, which actually is just getting set up down here in the bottom ground. So it's actually gonna be Time who is the aggressor here. So confirmation as to where this is, forcing a defensive stim up here. Looks like Byun and Time have the same amount of air control, so that's not going to be the biggest of deals. But back at home, we do see that Banshee finally getting some use out of him. 4 workers going down with some additional going to be happening in the natural. The Cyclone did join up with the army over here, but it looks like Time trying to pounce. He actually did get a pretty good engagement in the air, cleaning up a lot of that Viking count, but he is losing so much back at home. 14 workers total there. Mules are pretty good, but when your opponent has mules, they're not as fun. It's not as fun a situation to be in. Even now, Time just expending a lot of energy breaking down these rocks, waiting for his upgrades. He still doesn't have combat shield, so he's taking so much additional damage to any sort of siege tank volley. Upgrades just about to finish up as well for Byun, so he's going to have a small advantage in that regard. You see that he still has both of his Ravens, so a lockdown could occur. The second actually going to use anti-armor missile just to take the air engagement. I guess he feels like he has to, since he doesn't have control of the high ground. But Time, again, not going to overextend here. He's just going to head on home, secure up his third base, which he does have. And, yeah, pretty big stalemate right now. I don't suppose either side's really going to try and push in just yet. You can kind of see they both were focusing on Viking production, so they can't really utilize stim efficiently until those medevacs do come out. Yeah, it looks like, funnily enough, Time, he did catch up on the +1 upgrades, but he will be ahead in going up to +2. He does have that armory heading on down. But a nice little pickoff here for Byun, getting the cancel very early on. Time's army just slightly out of position. Will get Dorito cannoned all over, but unfortunately overextends with the Vikings. He will lose a couple very needlessly here. And yeah, I think it's going to be really difficult to get up that ramp. I love this move, however. If he didn't focus fire down that sensor tower, he might have been able to get a couple additional SCVs. But getting rid of that is always good for later, because he can just stim in when Time's not paying attention. Time's army getting caught out here without that siege tank support. As Byun just kind of taking control of the map. He is currently up 30 army supply, but sieging right on top of those siege tanks. He will lose 1 tank of his own, but actually getting some very good damage done there. I think from here, this little pincer is going to be really nice, especially since Time, he's got a good chunk of his Marines out here, so his siege tanks are relatively undefended on the ground. He's got the Vikings, but I mean, while these guys aren't too good, Byun is already going up to those additional starports here, so he's going to go straight into either a Raven or battlecruiser production. More than likely Raven. Byun trying to stim in here. He does have to be careful. Like, one bad stim and it's going to be game over. A good concave at the top of the ramp will make it so that Time can get rid of those siege tanks. And the Doom drop just coming on back to defend. This should be a pretty easy cleanup here. But he's not out of the woodworks yet because another big drop going straight for the natural. And he is still soft contained. He can't move many tanks up to this location because he is still like besieged at the front. Here for good games. Oh no, I think everybody's here for good games. That is always good to see. But now, Time going to rotate around to his fourth base, looking to defend. But unfortunately, that does leave a very big gap here. That sensor tower does not cover everything. Now Byun going up to his +3 upgrade, so he will have them just a bit quicker here. And unfortunately, Time is completely blindsided. He will not get those starports up in time. No pun intended. As he rotates in, gonna shut down a couple of those siege tanks in the front, except for the very weakened one. And that is going to be a very quick kill. SCVs are pulled on the third. 23 will go down for the time being. The Viking count almost completely reset here as well. And now Byun, he doesn't have to overextend. He can just slowly siege up and tech on forward. A little bit of a mistake there. I don't think it really matters. A good concave by Time to try and shut this down. But he just doesn't have enough to close it out. So overall here, Byun did take a pretty big dip in supply, but just taking a look at everything lost, he's getting a much more efficient trade. And the fact that he does have that extra Raven production much quicker than his opponent is really working out in his favor. Behind us, he does have his own fifth base up. Time does have his own, does have his fifth as well, but it's not on location. So he is going to have to establish that. Byun, he doesn't even really care. He's just going to stim in, gets a good concave, and just going to look to kill. Time fighting in range of those siege tanks, and that is actually going to be it. Alright, so looking like a lot of the same here. Got the double reactors on both sides. Only difference being last game what happened was Byun went for a much faster Cyclone. Time instead tried to get that early harassment in with the additional Hellions and the Reaper. So we'll have to see if it's kind of the same here or if it's going to change up a little bit. That's kind of the thing about mirror matchups. You really kind of get forced into a situation where you have to build the same units. Otherwise, you know, you kind of lose because your opponent will have the exact same tech as you. But anyway, we do have the factories coming on down. Time going to get that faster reactor down just to get those additional Reapers, I'd imagine. And from there, he should be looking to move across the map, just get a little bit of poking in. Byun, though, just going to get confirmation that there's nothing too crazy coming his way, gets a vision on that natural CC, and from here, he's going to cut production at 2, go up into the tech lab, and then from there, going to go for the Cyclone once again. Actually, that's a reactor, but that's the tech lab, okay. So this time, though, Byun is going to be able to get a pretty good delay on that starport forward right now. He's going to look to get out of here as well. 88 charge. Going to try and mitigate that retreat, but unfortunately he will go down, but not before getting 4 worker kills. So a good little bit of damage right there. It's actually even worth losing the Reapers because he does have this Cyclone back at home and going up into the tech lab. So he should be feeling pretty darn good with that. Looks like we're going to be seeing him go into Banshees once again. That Banshee did quite a bit of work in the last game, so I would love to see it kind of come in again. But these Hellions, though, gonna look to get some damage done. 3 workers going down that last one. So he does do an eye for an eye. 6 gonna go down, especially with those Reapers in the main base. Now we should see things kind of slow down for a minute as the siege tank production has begun, as the players not really going to be able to break the other one with these small amounts of units. Oh boy. That was an absolutely disastrous blow right there. Not even getting the Cyclone time, trying to get it. He really wants it. At the end of the day, it is just not enough. He taps out, and Byun will hop on over to his next map.